Hi, it's Dr. Sonya. We have barn stories today. We're going to talk about one of my favorite books, one of my children's favorite books. But first, I wanted you to see these cool little chickens. So these are some new ones we just got. And if you see, there's no feathers on this little guy's neck. And these are called naked necks for obvious reasons, or turkins, because they kind of have a turkey neck. And they're just chickens, but they have a gene, some genetics in their DNA that doesn't let them grow feathers right there. And that's totally normal. They're not sick. They're just missing feathers right there. He's okay. And if you'll notice, these guys are starting to get real feathers. Here, hold this. They're born with this little fluff, or they're hatched with this little fluff. And then as they get older, they actually grow little feathers like that. So they're getting little feathers. You can see their little beaks. So we don't know if these are males or females. We'll just have to wait till they grow up and see. Now, our book for today is my middle son, Owen. This was his very favorite book, and when he was about 7 or 8 years old. And I thought I would share it with you because it's a great book. It's one of my favorites. Now it's called Cyrus, the Unsinkable Sea Serpent. So there's some alliteration in there, some sounds that are all the same. And it is written and illustrated by Bill Peet. So he was an author who writes the words and also the illustrator who draws beautiful pictures. And he writes quite a few of these, and these are very, very fun, colorful books. And they usually have a moral in the story. They usually have a character who grows throughout the book. And they're long, so this is not going to be a short read, but it's a very enjoyable read. Once upon a time, there was a giant sea serpent named Cyrus. Even though he was a horrible-looking monster, he wasn't the least bit fierce. All he ever did was wander about in the sea with no idea of where he was going. "I'm tired of wandering," said Cyrus one day. "I wish there was something more exciting to do. I'd like to have some fun for a change." Wonder what he's going to get into. He's going to get into some peer pressure. "If you want to have some fun," said a shark. Oh, sharks aren't very nice. "Why don't you go out and wreck a ship and then eat all the passengers?" That's not a nice person to hang out with, is it? "Oh, no," said Cyrus. "I couldn't do an awful thing like that. Besides, I never eat people. I only eat sardines." "You've got no more spunk than a jellyfish," sneered the shark. "You're nothing but a big sissy." Now he's calling him names. That's not nice. Cyrus had never been called a sissy, and this made him furious. "I can be as rough and tough as anyone," he grumbled, "and if I have to wreck a ship to prove it, that's what I'll do. It might even be fun." He just got talked into doing something not very nice by another creature who wasn't very nice. The serpent raised his head high out of the water to search for a ship, but as far as he could see, there wasn't a sail. "I know where I can find ships," he said. "Lots of them." Let's see where he goes. Look at this. Where did he go? He went cruising along the seacoast until he came to a harbor. A harbor is a place where they dock ships. And there sure enough were ships by the dozen riding at anchor on the quiet water. "I'll just lie low," Cyrus decided. "Sooner or later, one of them will head out to sea. Then I'll have some fun." After a quick look around to make sure no one had seen him, the serpent slipped under a pier to hide in the pilings. So a pier is where they dock the ships. This is a pier. So this goes to land, and this one's coming out to the ship in the water. Pretty soon there was a great commotion and confusion of shouting voices as a crowd poured onto the pier. A ship was about to set sail, and Cyrus perked up. From all the hubbub, he learned that the ship was called the Primrose, and she was bound for a new land far across the sea. The passengers were all poor people who were going there to seek their fortunes. Oh, this man doesn't look good, does he? As the ship moved away from the pier, the crowd called out their last farewells. The booming voice of an old man split the air. "You're in for trouble," he bellowed. "You'll never make it. You'll run into the doldrums or be stranded forever. Or a storm will take you under. And if a storm doesn't get you, the pirates will. You'll never make it, I say." "It's not a nice man. The old scoundrel," muttered Cyrus. "How could he be so mean as to put a curse on a ship at the start of a voyage?" Now Cyrus is mad at the man. He forgot about the shark. The old man had spoiled his fun. Cyrus forgot all about wrecking a ship. Now he was worried about the Primrose and all her passengers. "I'll never know what happens to them," he said. "Not unless I follow. It's a long trip, but then I have nothing better to do." Without making a ripple, he ducked under the water to go gliding from the harbor on out to sea, and about a half a mile behind the Primrose, came to the surface. Now he's going to follow the ship. Oh, there he is. He's way back here following the ship. Cyrus could have caught up with the ship in no time, but he didn't want to scare anyone, so he went churning along at a slow, steady pace, careful to keep at a distance. The first day out, all went well. With a lively breeze behind her, see, it's a sailboat, so there's sails, and it has to have a breeze to keep going. The Primrose sailed merrily along over a rippling sea without a cloud in the sky, and on into the night with a bright full moon to light the way. "So far, so good," said Cyrus. "No storms, no pirates, and no doldrums, whatever they are." I think we're going to find out what those are. Look at this beautiful picture. For 3 days, the ship sailed along without the least bit of trouble. Then, on the 4th day, just before sunset, a great stillness settled over the sea. There wasn't a breath of a breeze. The sails of the Primrose fell limp, and all at once she came to a stop. Look at her sails. She can't go anywhere. "Well, I'll be hornswoggled," growled the old captain. "We've run into the doldrums. We've hit a dead calm." So the doldrums is when there's no air moving. "What'll we do?" someone cried. "Wait her out and hope for a favoring wind." "How long will it be?" "No telling," said the captain. "Maybe a day, maybe a week, or even a month." "In a month we'd run out of food and water." "That we would," said the captain. "But right now we might as well get some sleep," because it was sunset. So he said, "Go to bed. There's nothing we can do." Cyrus was not the least bit sleepy. Look at him. So he stayed up that night, circling around the stranded ship, trying to figure out some way to help. "Of course," he exclaimed. "How very simple indeed." Quietly, he slipped up close behind the Primrose, then very gently began puffing at the sails, and slowly the ship started to move. Soon she was sailing along over the shimmering sea in a smooth, easy glide. He's blowing those sails. See, those sails are limp and just hanging, and then here they're full and they're blowing in the wind. Cyrus's wind. He kept the ship going all through the night. Now it doesn't look good, does it? Something else is happening. And then in the rosy pink hours of the dawn, a stiff headwind caught the sails, rocking the Primrose back on her keel. In an instant, the crew and the passengers were on deck, with everyone shouting, "We're out of the doldrums! We're out of the doldrums!" "Hold on," cried the captain. "We're out of the doldrums and heading smack into a squall." That's a storm. Black clouds, look at the black clouds, came tumbling over the horizon. There was a great rumble of thunder, and a howling wind was churning up the sea. Oh, look how black that is. That's no good. "All passengers below," ordered the captain. Then to his crew he roared, "Reef the topsails, haul in the mizzen, tie down the jib. Make her fast, lads. In 3 shakes and a jiffy, the sailors were up the rigging. Look at them all up there climbing, trying to do stuff. Pulling in the sails, tightening up the bowlines and mainstays. So they're trying to tuck everything in so that the wind doesn't carry them away. See, they tuck the sails under. Look at this water coming over. That's not good. And in half a shake, the captain and crew popped down the hatch just as a giant wave crashed over the bow. A second wave swept over the deck, and the Primrose was rocking and reeling. The waves kept coming, great towering waves, and the ship began to founder. Cyrus saw in a second that the ship could never last out the storm, and he came leaping over the waves to the rescue. He reached the Primrose just as she was heeling over and about to go down. Here he comes. In one desperate lunge, he flung his great serpent body around her hull, and then gulping in air, he puffed himself up into a huge life preserver. Now Cyrus was unsinkable, and with a tight grip on the ship, he carried her high over the crest of the waves. He's the unsinkable sea serpent. Look at that. He's a floaty for the ship. This way, he managed to keep the Primrose afloat until the storm finally let up. The wind died down to a whisper, and the sea had calmed down to a ripple. Once more, shouts of joy echoed from the deck of the Primrose. "It was a miracle," cried the captain. "A bloomin' miracle. I thought sure we were goners." "So did I," sighed the Serpent, as he watched the ship sail away. Cyrus was much too weary and bedraggled to go on, so he flopped down on the sea for a nap and was soon rocked to sleep by the rolling waves. He deserved a nap, didn't he? He worked hard. When the sea serpent awakened, the Primrose was nowhere to be seen. "Oh, well," he said, "I might as well forget about the ship. After all, I've done my bit. But then she still has a long way to go, and there could be plenty of trouble ahead. All kinds of trouble." So he thinks about giving up, but then he said, "No, I'm invested now. I'm going to keep going." And away went Cyrus, charging full tilt over the sea to the west. He searched the sea for miles and miles to find nothing more than a pelican. He was about to give up when he sighted a ship on the horizon. Look, there's the pelican. He came closer, he discovered that this ship was flying a black flag. She was a pirate ship. On ahead, he spied the Primrose. The pirates were chasing her and closing in fast. "Avast, you lubbers!" roared the pirate captain. "Heave to, or we'll blast you tub to splinters." Look at that angry captain with his sword. These pirates are bad. "The devil take you," the captain of the Primrose roared back, and he kept his ship going full sail. He wasn't giving up. But there was no hope of outrunning the pirates, and in less than a minute, they had caught up and pulled alongside. Oh no, look what happened. Then, to the sea serpent's horror, the pirates opened fire. 20 cannons exploded with a thundering boom, blasting the masts of the Primrose to splinters. The sails were blown to shreds and the yardarms came tumbling down. Look, their whole ship is falling apart. "The scurvy sea dogs," snarled the Serpent. "I'll fix the rascals. I'll shiver their timbers, I will." Uh-oh, what's he gonna do now? Quick as a flash, he dove deep into the sea, then wheeling sharply, he shot straight up like a rocket, straight for the pirate ship. The Serpent's hard head caught the ship. See that? Square in the hull. Kerwham! And she cracked apart like a nutshell. He's saving his primrose from the angry, mean pirates. The ship was wrecked, and so was Cyrus. He doesn't look so good, huh? He had knocked himself out. His eyes were spinning like pinwheels, and he sank below the waves as limp as an old shoestring. When he finally recovered and came to the surface, he was amazed to find nothing left of the pirate ship but bits and pieces. So he really did wreck a ship after all, but he wrecked a bad one. The pirates had scrambled aboard a fragment of the hull, dazed and bewildered, wondering what in the world had hit them. The crippled Primrose. Look, there she is. She's still together, but all of her masts and her sails are gone. The crippled Primrose was drifting away to the south with the passengers and crew crowded together on the deck. The captain and passengers and his crew had seen the giant sea monster destroy the pirate ship with one mighty blow, and they feared their ship would be next. "If the monster doesn't get us," muttered the captain, "we're done for anyway. It's still a whale of a long way to go, and we can't move without sails." That old man was right. The one who made such a noise the day we left port, he predicted the voyage would end in disaster. Remember? "Who could forget him?" muttered Cyrus. Look, there he is. Cyrus muttered to himself. He was right about the doldrums, the storm, and the pirates, but he didn't figure on me. I just might prove him wrong. The Serpent had slipped quietly up to the prow of the ship and was eyeing the anchor chain. What do you think he's going to do? Gripping the chain tightly in his jaws. Look what he's doing. He gave it a tug. He kept pulling until it was strung out to its full length, and all at once the ship lurched forward, bringing cries of terror from the people on board. "It's the monster! The sea monster! He's stealing the anchor! No, no, he's pulling us! He's hauling us off to his cave! He'll eat us alive!" "Hold it!" roared the captain. "How do we know but what he means to help? After all, if he hadn't wrecked the pirate ship, the devils would have slit our gullets. And look, he's taken us west. If he keeps on going, we'll hit land. So let's all cool down and enjoy the ride." Like a high-stepping steed, that's another name for a horse, hitched to a fancy carriage, sounds like a horse in a carriage, Cyrus galloped over the sea, picking up speed as he went. Never had a sailing ship traveled at such a fast clip. The Serpent was anxious to get the trip over with, and he kept the Primrose going full tilt day and night without a let up. Finally, one morning, the lookout was shouting, "Land ho! Land ho!" And sure enough, looming over the horizon, there was a great stretch of land. He's taking them where they needed to go. Look at that. At last, the perilous voyage was over. Perilous is another word for dangerous. With one last burst of speed, Cyrus carried the Primrose up on the beach, leaving her high and dry. Then, with an enormous sigh of relief, he headed back out to sea. As he swam on his way, the captain and crew and all the passengers were gathered on a huge rock, and they gave their sea serpent hero a rousing cheer. "Being a hero is exciting," said Cyrus, "but I've had enough excitement for a last a while. What I need is a good long rest." He's had quite the voyage. What do you do? See him up there in the trees? Heading south, the giant Serpent wandered off into the Caribbean Sea, where he found a peaceful little island, and he settled down into the palm trees to sleep for a whole month. Cyrus was very tired for some reason or the other. Again, that's Bill Peet. He's an author and an illustrator. This book was actually published in 1975, so they're kind of old books, but they're fun books, and the illustrations are beautiful. So I'll come with another one. I think I have The Ant and the Elephant as well. I hope y'all enjoyed.